Alright, so you know the scene at the Great Tourney at Harrenhal. The year is 281 AC, and the whole of Westeros is there. Prince Rhaegar Targaryen has just won, and in a move that shocks everybody, he rides right past his own wife, Elia Martell, and crowns Lyanna Stark the Queen of Love and Beauty. It's a huge insult, and you can just feel the entire political landscape tense up. In the background, all these deals are being made. Rickard Stark is playing the game, marrying his heir Brandon to Catelyn Tully, and his daughter Lyanna is promised to Robert Baratheon. It's this whole web of alliances meant to keep the peace. But there's one guy watching all this who is not happy. Tywin Lannister. King Aerys, the Mad King, has just completely humiliated him. He refused to marry his son Rhaegar to Cersei, and to add insult to injury, he stole Tywin's heir, Jaime, for the Kingsguard, basically ending the Lannister line. And I may be alone with this thought, but every time I watch these events unfold, I think Tywin is just left holding the bag. In our timeline, he just sits on that anger until Robert's rebellion explodes. He marries Cersei off to Robert after the war, and we all know how that turned out. It was a disaster that led straight to the War of the Five Kings. But what if Tywin, seeing this Stark-Tully-Baratheon block forming, decided to make his own move? What if, instead of aiming for the Iron Throne, he looked north? What if Tywin Lannister approached Rickard Stark and brokered a marriage between his golden lioness, Cersei, and the quiet wolf, Eddard Stark? How different would things be? Welcome to the Visions of Valyria. Before we get started, if you could leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. The Unthinkable Pact. So let me just lay it out for you, why this would even be a possibility. For Tywin Lannister, this isn't a move of desperation. It's cold, hard strategy. He knows better than anyone that the Targaryen dynasty is on shaky ground. Aerys is paranoid and getting worse by the day, and Rhaegar, for all his charms, just pulled a stunt that could destabilize the whole realm. Tywin's dream of Cersei being queen to Rhaegar is dead, so he looks at the board. The Tullys? They're okay, but regional. The Baratheons? Robert is a known womanizer, not exactly a great match for the daughter he values so highly. But the Starks? They're different. They're an ancient line, rulers of a massive kingdom, and their people are fiercely loyal. An alliance with the Starks is a union of ice and gold, northern strength and western wealth. It creates a power block that could basically run the Seven Kingdoms. Tywin knows that if war is coming, this puts him on the winning side from the jump. Now let's look at it from Rickard Stark's side. His Southron ambitions are already in motion. Brandon is set to marry Catelyn Tully, which is a good match. But his second son, Ned, is still available. An offer from Tywin Lannister, the richest and most powerful lord in Westeros, to marry his famous daughter to Rickard's second son would be a massive honor. It links the North not just to all the gold in Casterly Rock, but to the shrewdest political mind in a generation. Rickard would see the value immediately, so the deal is struck. Ravens fly. Eddard Stark will marry Cersei Lannister. The news would hit Westeros like a shockwave. Hoster Tully would be annoyed, his second daughter passed over for a Lannister. Robert Baratheon would probably just laugh, because why would he care who his quiet friend Ned marries? But in King's Landing, Aerys would see it for exactly what it is, a challenge. His two most powerful lords, one of whom he just insulted, joining their houses. In his paranoid mind, this isn't an alliance for peace, it's a conspiracy. The lioness in the wolf's den. For Tywin and Rickard, it's all about power and ledgers. For Ned and Cersei, it's a prison sentence. Down in Casterly Rock, Cersei's world just ends. She was raised for one thing and one thing only, to be queen, to marry Prince Rhaegar. When that was taken away, she probably still thought she'd get a powerful lord in the sunny, sophisticated South. But the North? To be shipped off to the frozen edge of the world to marry a quiet second son she's never even met? That's not a marriage, that's an exile. She would have raged at her father, but he would have met her fire with ice, telling her that her feelings don't matter. Her duty is everything. The truly gut-wrenching conversation, though, would be with Jaime, her twin, her other half. He's trapped in a white cloak in King's Landing, and she's being sent to the end of the earth. Their goodbye would be this desperate, heartbreaking moment, promising to never forget each other. For Cersei, the journey north isn't a wedding procession. It's a funeral for the life she thought she deserved. And Ned, he'd take the news like he takes everything, with quiet duty. His father commands, he obeys, but he'd be wary. He was raised by Jon Arryn on principles of honor. The Lannisters are famous for, well, the opposite. Their unofficial motto is, a Lannister always pays his debts, usually in blood. He's about to marry a woman known for her pride and vanity, born from a ruthless house. He would have prepared himself for a political chore, not a marriage. The wedding itself would be this huge, cold pageant of power. Lannister gold clashing with Stark gray, Tywin looking stern, Rickard looking watchful, and in the middle are these two strangers, bound together for the good of the realm. Their wedding night would be awkward, silent, a duty to be performed and nothing more. But Cersei's arrival in Winterfell is the real test. Nothing could prepare her for it. The warmth and luxury of Casterly Rock are gone, replaced by the grim gray stone of this ancient fortress. The people aren't courtiers trying to win her favor. They're tough, quiet northerners who don't care about her beauty or her name. She sees them as barbarians. And then there's the Godswood, with that terrifying weirwood tree with the bleeding, carved face. To a follower of the Seven like Cersei, it's just pagan horror. She is completely and totally alone, a golden lioness in a cage of ice and snow, and she hates it, all of it, especially the quiet, honorable man who is now her husband. She would have tried to play her games using charm and manipulation to find a crack in his armor, but he doesn't rise to it. He doesn't play games, he's just decent. He treats her with this formal, unwavering respect. He calls her my lady and makes sure everyone else does too. And then he does something that completely throws her off. He gives her real power. He hands her the keys to run the household, making her the acting Lady of Winterfell. For the first time, she's not just an ornament, she's a ruler. It's a sign of trust, and coming from him, it feels different. It's the first tiny seed of a very confusing and unwelcome feeling. Respect. The spark of rebellion and the shifting alliance. So while this quiet personal drama is unfolding in Winterfell, the South is about to catch fire. Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, in an act of supreme folly, abducts Lyanna Stark. That one move lights the fuse for the end of his entire dynasty. Just like in our timeline, Lyanna's hot-headed brother Brandon races to King's Landing screaming for Rhaegar's head. And just like in our timeline, Aerys arrests him and summons his father, Lord Rickard. And this is the moment where history doesn't just diverge, it shatters. When Rickard Stark rides south, he isn't just the Lord of Winterfell. He's the father-in-law of Tywin Lannister's daughter. An attack on the Starks is now a direct public attack on House Lannister. In our timeline, Tywin sat out the war, waiting to see who would win. But here, his hand is forced. Aerys, in his madness, has threatened Tywin's family and his legacy. The horrific murder of Rickard and Brandon Stark isn't just an atrocity, it's a declaration of war on the Starks and the Lannisters. There would be no waiting, no calculating, there would only be Lannister fury. Tywin would call his banners immediately. Robert's rebellion is no longer just a coalition of Storm's End, the North, and the Vale. It's a juggernaut. With the armies of the Westerlands joining from the start, the war is shorter, bloodier, and way more one-sided. Hoster Tully might even stay neutral now, feeling snubbed by the Stark-Lannister match. The Targaryen armies would be crushed from three directions. The Battle of the Trident might not even happen, and the sack of King's Landing would be a foregone conclusion. The Targaryen dynasty collapses in months, not a year. When the dust settles, Robert Baratheon still has the best claim to the throne. He'd be king. But Tywin Lannister isn't some last-minute opportunist who sacked a city. He's a founder of the new regime, a kingmaker. His influence would be immense from day one. King Robert's reign would begin under the shadow of two great houses, not one, the Lannisters and the Starks, now bound together by marriage and a victorious war. The quiet wolf and the taming of the lion. While all this is happening, Cersei is in Winterfell. The war that was a political game is now terrifyingly real. Her husband is marching south to fight alongside her father. Her brother Jaime is in King's Landing, guarding the very king her family is trying to kill. But this period of responsibility changes her. As the Lady of Winterfell, she's not just waiting, she's governing. She's managing supplies, dealing with northern lords, hearing the small folk. She gets ravens telling of victories won by Stark and Lannister men fighting together. For the first time, she feels a part of the North. She might even feel a flicker of worry for Ned's safety, a feeling she'd quickly dismiss as weakness. When the war is won, her relief is complicated. Her family won, but her brother Jaime is now the Kingslayer, and her husband is a hero. Robert is on the Iron Throne, mourning Lyanna, and he needs a queen, but it won't be Cersei. He's free to marry for political advantage elsewhere. Ned, his duty done, has one last promise to keep. He rides to Dorne, to the Tower of Joy, and finds his sister Lyanna dying. She makes him promise her something, a secret he will carry for the rest of his life. He returns from the war not just as a hero, but with a baby in his arms, his bastard son, Jon Snow. This is the ultimate test for the fragile truce between Ned and Cersei. He shows up at Winterfell, a castle she ran in his absence, with living proof of his infidelity. For a Lannister, for her, this is an unbearable insult. Her fury would be legendary. All the grudging respect she'd built for him would be in danger of shattering. She would have demanded he send the boy away. She would have screamed and raged. But Ned, again, would be unmovable. He can't tell her the truth because of his honor and his promise. All he would say is, "He is my blood," and that's the end of it. He would accept her anger and her scorn because his promise to Lyanna is absolute. In the weeks and months that follow, her rage would cool, and she would watch. She would see Ned treat his bastard son with a quiet affection. He doesn't hide Jon, he gives him the name Snow and raises him. And Cersei, a woman whose life is built on a dark secret with Jaime, is faced with a man who wears his greatest shame out in the open for everyone to see. Slowly, she'd realize his bringing Jon home wasn't a slight against her. It was just another part of his complex, maddening honor. It's this realization that begins the real taming of the lioness. She'd never loved Jon Snow, but she might come to see him as a symbol of her husband's integrity. And from that, a much more genuine emotion for Ned Stark could finally begin to grow. Not passion, but a deep, abiding respect that, over years and children, could finally become a form of love. The new Westeros. Fast forward 15 years. The Seven Kingdoms are surprisingly peaceful. King Robert is still on the throne, but the real power is the unbreakable Stark-Lannister alliance. Lord Tywin remains the most feared man in Westeros, his position secured by his daughter, the Lady of Winterfell. And up in the north, the union has been a success. Eddard and Cersei have children. A son, Robb, with Lannister gold hair but his father's serious eyes. A beautiful daughter, Sansa, who looks just like her mother. A wild daughter, Arya, who is somehow all Stark. And two younger sons, Bran and Rickon. They are Starks, but they are also Lannisters. They are wolves with golden pelts. Cersei has changed. The years in the north with Ned have softened her sharpest edges. She's not the cruel girl from King's Landing. She's a powerful and respected woman. She's still a lioness, but now her roar is to protect her northern pack. And Jaime Lannister, he's still in the Kingsguard, a lonely, melancholic figure. He watches from afar as his sister lives a completely different life. The distance and her transformation have broken their bond for good, leaving him adrift. Without Cersei anchoring him, he might have become a better knight, or maybe just a more broken man. The great threats from our timeline are neutralized. Balon's uprising is crushed in a single campaign as the Wolf Lion host lands on Pike. The Targaryen exiles are a non-issue against such a unified realm. The War of the Five Kings never happens because its catalyst, Prince Joffrey, was never born. The realm, it seems, is safe. But is this peace really built to last? What happens when the Quiet Wolf and the Lioness's golden-haired children come of age, with claims to both the North and the West? Could their union, meant to secure peace, have actually planted the seeds for a future civil war, a war of wolf cubs with the ambition of lions? What happens when Tywin Lannister dies, and the question of who inherits Casterly Rock comes up? That's just me. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you think Cersei could ever truly change even under Ned's influence? And what other what-if scenarios from the world of Ice and Fire would you like to see me cover? Let me know down below in the comments and I'll do my best to respond.